Hi everyone, my name is Chris Farrell and I'm an adult and seniors programmer at the Brantford Public Library. I would like to thank everyone for joining us for our webinar today, and I apologize for the delay. Just a few housekeeping details before I introduce our speaker. Everyone attending will be able to view the speaker and the hosts, but your audio will be turned off. If you think of a question during the presentation, then you can type it into the chat and Phil can choose to answer it at that time or at the end of the presentation. Our webinar today is Food and Finance, and we have Philip Wilkins today from the Credit Counselling Society. Some of you may have attended previous webinars with Amanda, which were always very informative. Philip is a financial educator and credit counselor with the Credit Counselling Society in the GTA. He worked in the banking financial services industry for over 20 years, but has now transitioned into the nonprofit sector. He has a BA in economics and has taken numerous management courses. He has 4 sons and enjoys coaching baseball. Philip believes that for every financial situation, there is a financial solution. Today, Philip will speak on how to create healthy and financially sustainable food. He will also offer tips on frugal meal plans. And now I am pleased to introduce Phil Wilkins. Welcome, Phil.
Thank you, Christine. I appreciate it, or Chris, everybody. Now you can see my screen, right, Chris? You can see it okay? I think, and it's the proper one?
Yes, I can.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Yeah, welcome everybody. I'm not going to leave this picture on. You don't need to see my face for the whole thing. I was just telling Chris, I don't know if you heard me or not, but it's really, well, these times are unique, and working from home offers different challenges, and finding workspace is just one of them. Hence, what you see is not an episode of Hoarders behind me. I'm in my downstairs office. The upstairs one is the bright one, but I can't use that one today, apparently. It's not for me today. But anyways, I will shut this down. This is Information Central, though. Yeah, welcome everybody. Yeah, please, as we do this, a couple preliminaries before we get started. Yeah, first of all, questions, we'll take them as we can, okay? If you've got them, put them in the chat, that's great. Now, and Chris, if you're gonna be with us, I'd ask that if you would, if there's something comes up and I just don't catch it, I'm okay with you saying, hey, Phil, we've got something to talk about. That's fine with me. If you have questions at the end and you prefer to wait, that's fine too. This is a conversation. We're going to chat us together. I want you to sit back, relax. Hope you've got something to sip on while we're doing this. And of course, as you can imagine, as I speak, I do get dry, so I will pause once in a while to do the same, okay? Couple other quick housekeeping things for us. Number one is be comfortable, and if you make sure that, I think this already under control, is leave everything on mute. Sometimes by accident when it gets knocked off and we can hear the background, it's rather distracting. I know people don't mean it, but anyways, just a quick heads up, okay? There we go. Okay, let's get started. Then thanks for the great introduction, Christine. Yes, absolutely. I'm now on the right side of the fence. I'm no longer trying to sell you money. I'm here just to talk, okay, about things. So here we go. You don't need to see me anymore. Credit Counselling Society. I'm not sure if you know who we are, if you've attended a presentation before, you've heard this. We are not-for-profit charitable group, and you can see our pledge there. Our battle cry, if you will, is we help, we educate, we give hope. Yeah, we certainly want to make sure that the word gets out. There's information to be shared, and I've been doing this for a while. And one of the things about being in this sector, especially the financial services sector, is that I know that sometimes there's a great deal of misinformation, and it's nice to know that whatever we say here, of course, you can research, and the bottom line is there's ways to back up what we say. And our hope is that as we share points with you and information, we also, some feedback from yourself would be nice as well. If you see something, please feel free, especially at the end, drop me a note to make sure that, hey, there's something I've tried that really works. We'd love to hear from you, okay? Now, the presentation is in bullets form as much as we can do to make it easier for your absorption of this. And we offer to Chris that at the end of this, if it's necessary, we also will provide her with a PDF copy of this so that she can share it with her clients. Okay, I hope that works for everybody. So today, food and finance. Let's have a little chat about this particular topic, shall we? Now, if you're wondering where our information comes from, as a preamp, when we get into this, we do accumulate a lot of data. And it's not just Phil talking to you, a guy that's been around the block a couple of times. We do see a lot of situations, and it's from any walk of life. Things can happen, and any topic that we cover off stems from these particular issues that come up. I mean, what's the bottom line? Life happens, right? It does. And you see there's right in front of us, there's 7 issues that can come up at any given time. And it doesn't matter, and it doesn't care how tall we are, it doesn't matter. Just the stuff can happen, and we need to be able to react to it. Now, what we do like to, not just about reaction, if we can be a little proactive as well, is a big piece of this, right? So our information, our webinars, if you will, are built on this premise. And hence, we get an opportunity to share some information with everybody. What's today's agenda? Pretty simple, everybody, yet very important and very effective. What we want to do is talk about our meal plans, and it's got what we see as 3 big components to it in the big picture. Number 1 is it's about tracking your expenses. And of course, we're talking about, in this particular context, about our food expenses. Absolutely. Knowing where we are, what we're doing, where we want to go is huge. Some of you may be doing this already. Maybe a lot of you are, which is fabulous. Maybe some of us are not. That's okay too. But if we even get a chance just to reiterate some things that you're doing, that's fantastic. And again, please let me know if we're striking a chord with you. Also, we need to be able to plan a little bit. And I got to confess too, and we'll all take a little giggle in your own, what you do on your own homes, etc. In meal plans. In my area, in my home, thank God that my girl is good at this, because she does take the time to sit down, do a little meal planning, and it does help us a ton with our budget. It absolutely does. And I can tell you, it's not just being in the business, not just doing this. I'm a believer just from my own home here. And we're going to talk about a budget. When we're in the business, right? I bet you knew the word budget was going to come sooner or later. Absolutely. Even with food planning, there is a discussion as to the budget component of this. All right. Perfect. So of course, by the end of this, what we're hoping is just make it a little easier for you to be able to plan your money or plan your meal, save some money, implement any of the tips that we put out there or that you've got that maybe you've been thinking about, and maybe help us be a little bit better a shopper. And by doing that, we will save money. That much you will do. Okay. So let's start this off. How about just a little something to get our intellectual juices flowing here. Let's talk about some things that we need to talk about, and let's test ourselves. Now, I will promise you, there's no mark after this. Okay, we're not going to mark it. The result of our situation here, of our presentation, isn't dependent upon this. But let's just think about a relationship with food and finance right now. Put some things out there, and just give it some thought. Okay, number 1. Okay. It's possible to make healthy choices without spending a lot of money. True or false? Right? Pause. No-brainer, I hope, everybody. Of course it's true. Right? We don't have to spend a lot of money, but we can still have a very healthy menu. Buying convenience foods, it will save me money. I mean, everybody have a smile here. Anybody out there have children like I do, kids? My youngest is 18. And he's not the one that's the issue. It's the 24-year-old that goes out. Okay. He said this to me once. Well, I thought I'd save you guys some money. I just went and bought my supper. You know what, dude? Really? I can put down the same meal for you for about half the cost. Really, you're not putting us out. Just put your money in your pocket. How about paying rent? Maybe we'll start there. All right. Tongue in cheek. We'll laugh at that one. Yeah, it doesn't. Convenience foods do not save us money. Number 3, how about the outside edge of the grocery store? So the outside aisles is where I find the basics I need. Have you heard this one before? It's kind of a topic that we do cover off in other presentations as well. Well, it's true. And they also happen to be the widest aisles. Did you note that? And wherever you go, that's the way it tends to be. So the necessities are all around the outside. The non-necessities are on the inside, where, oh, by the way, yeah, the aisles are a lot more narrow. They let us go a little slower. And usually they have the most expensive items right about our eye level. That's about where they are. Okay, how about the last one? Displays at the ends of the aisles are always sale items. True or false? You've been there? You know it's false. And it may say like manager special, right? Well, what's special about it? Special is I got 2 kids I got to get out the door. So I'm not going to give you any breaks though. Limit 6 per customer. No, I got a ton of them. Don't worry. It's always about trying to get our spending juices going, right? That's what they want to do. But anyways, of course, it's false. How about this? Bigger packages are always less expensive than smaller packages. Absolutely false. Not always the case. We're going to talk about this a little bit more as well, because just because it's bigger doesn't mean it's less expensive. It can be something, and I will see that the 3 cucumber deal, right? 3 in a package, $3 for the package, and they're individually they're $1 a piece. What's the math on that one? I know I'm being a little facetious here, and I do tend to be a bit of a smarty pants, but no, not always. How about this one? Grocery shopping every day is cheaper than one big shop. False. Absolutely false. It doesn't matter. It depends on the sales of the day, that type of thing. But whether you choose to go one day and do a bulk buy, or you go multiple days and do smaller buys, it doesn't make it any cheaper. You may, the one thing you might save on maybe is if you're traveling, the travel fare, getting there and back, gas or the bus or the cab, right? How about this one? Comparing and matching prices is too much work. That's just a setup, right? Anytime you're saving money, especially in our opinion, with what we do, it's never a waste of time. It's never wasted. It's not too much work. Does it take effort? Sure, it does. Absolutely, it does. And you know what? It can be quite liberating, everybody, as well. If you're doing it, you know what I'm speaking to. If you've not done this before, it actually gives you that kind of a feeling of life is not controllable anyways, but we almost get a little bit of control there. We can say, no, you know what? I can watch my spending a lot better by doing a little price matching. Okay, how about the last one? Planning meals ahead of time saves money. I think we know the answer, of course. It is true, and we're going to talk about why it is, and you probably have a good feel on that as it is.
Hi, Phil. Sorry to interrupt.
Don't be. Go ahead.
Can you make your screen full screen by any chance?
What are you looking at right now?
Well, just because we have your presentation on one side and then your slide and your written information on the other side.
I'm going to try to do this again. I'm always happy to share that, mind you, but I'm going to try. This is acting up. Oh, hang on a second here.
If you can, it's okay. I just thought I'd check. There, yeah.
How's that?
Yep, perfect.
Got it? Okay. So everybody can see, if you could read along with me, I don't follow the notes always because it comes down to a lot of experience, right, that what we're doing. Yeah, but same thing still. If you got any questions, just go ahead and rifle them in there, okay? Now, just as a note, Chris, I don't have the chat piece visible to me right now. So if I miss something, please do step in, okay? And you are not disturbing me at all. Thank you. I'm glad that you do.
Yeah, I will.
Thank you. Okay, now, very much like when we talk to people if they have any kind of debt issues, I mean, budgeting for our food has the same type of concepts. When you're talking about your budget and buying food, what do you need to consider? Just as an offshoot, I'll share with you, and this needs to be updated. Health Canada says that the average Canadian spends between $250 and $350 each month per adult on food. I might challenge that now. I might challenge that because after COVID and the way prices have gone up, that we might be looking at the 350 plus mark now. So it's more important than ever to make sure that we know that we're going to spend some money here. That's just the way it is. Each one of us, our individual houses vary. So the size of your family will be one huge, maybe the biggest factor in terms of the budgeting for your family food. Next thing is think about what products, what do you purchase? Little things like kind of again, a little tongue in cheek here. Those of us, anybody's gone through the cereal phase, for the most part, most households, you probably keep it. But what about those of us who do have or have had children and you're trying to go through that cereal aisle? Yes, of course, we want to keep them as happy as possible, but also healthy, right? And I think that most of us are not, I don't find it too terribly bad to buy once in a while a cereal that the kids kind of like. But we all know that when you go down that aisle, that cereal stuff, the most expensive stuff and probably the worst stuff for them is right at their eye level. It's right there. So we want to be able to try to curtail certain purchases. So we want to make note of what we really need. What do we get? And where do we need to go with it, right? Where you shop. And this one, I always I'm very careful with this particular point too, because where you shop, certainly, it's nice if you are able to, say, take advantage of, I'm just going to throw names out there. You plug in what works for you. You can take advantage of like a Giant Tiger or No Frills for those items that you have to do more in bulk. Some like the Costco. I don't like the madness inside there, but I mean, that's up to yourself. If it works for you, absolutely, please do it. But there's other places you can get things that are less risky, like canned goods and box goods for the pantry type thing, and it can help keep the cost down. Of course, you may or may not want to use the no frills meat department, but I mean, a lot of us find it's just fine. You may prefer to go where it's fresh, and again, understandable. Not suggesting that the place isn't fresh, but it may just be not what you want. Sometimes some of us don't have any choice, even though we may, and this is, and I will tell you, this is where I even personally got caught in, several years ago, was with, I basically have been a single father for a number of years. So where I lived was situated just up the street from my local grocery store. So I could literally walk there if my car wasn't working, if I didn't, et cetera. But I only had one choice, and it was theirs. And I didn't really want to go into it because I didn't want to have to be subject to their shopping experience. Right? Things were always, they seem much pricier, and I really had to curb and curtail what I bought in there. But I didn't have a lot of choice sometimes. I had to walk, and that's the one that was in walking distance for me. So if you're in that position, we get it. Most of us can get around that, but if you are in that position, we understand. Okay. And also remembering that when we're putting our budget together, we may have very specific health needs. We may be on a low sugar, low salt diet. We may know, what is it? We all know MSG. The no, what's the one I'm looking for, the no protein, you can't have whey and that type of thing. My daughter-in-law has that now. We have to be very careful in terms of, if we do health requirements, the foods that we buy, and sometimes we don't have a choice in terms of the pricing. So be aware and we are aware of that. So again, back to your particular budget, is when you're putting together your finances for food, make sure you're working with this and accommodate that into your spending piece. Okay, just keeping your heads up, if you will. Kind of like a hockey thing here. Keep your head up, right? So I have to make sure that, where do we start? Well, let's start off with the fact that we need to track our expenses. I mean, the only way, it's our ultimate snapshot, right? It's where we are right now. And quite frankly, to make a budget work, we got to know where we're at. What does the tracking do? Well, first of all, it says right off the bat, you can see tracking makes the budget work. Because what does it do, really? Ultimately, it tells the truth. And when you're tracking everybody, this is where, remember, it's just between you and that piece of paper, right? Or whatever application you're using. And we'll talk about that. You just make sure that you're absolutely brutally honest with yourself. And that's fine, that's fair, and that's the best way to be. I don't know if, in a way, let me use a quick, I'm a bit of a sports guy, but what about a golfing analogy? Anybody golf out there? This isn't going to be too deep, but when you first start off in the spring here, the idea is that you count every stroke and you make sure that you don't cheat yourself, because what you want to do is get better. So it's easier to take strokes off when actually you're adding them all up together in the beginning, and maybe you pad it a little bit because you're not doing so well. Well, in this analogy, just seriously look at what you're getting. Look at it, because you want it to stare you in the face. Now, and when you're done, when you're so honest with yourself, what will happen? It will start to show habits. You'll see maybe some trends in there, and you can look, maybe it's a particular store you buy a lot of stuff from that maybe you could, maybe get someplace else at a little bit better bargain, right? Is it a particular time of day that we're in this particular shop? Why are we there? Are we overloading on things like like cereal? It will show you a lot about who you are and your unit that you shop with. Okay. Once you identify that, then if needed, it helps accentuate where you can make the changes. And it may just be something as simple as, you know what, maybe I don't need to go and get 4 different kinds of peanut butter. I think that just the smoothie is all I need. It does actually give us a real opportunity to take control. Tracking it, well, there's different ways to do it. All right. There's different, I would say, applications that you can use, because tracking is about, this is very personal. It's about what works for you. You might be an individual that likes the pen and paper. Good for you. There's products out there. Take a piece of paper with you, or you can get ones that are categorized for you already, that they're available at things like the home, what do you call it, the Office Depot show places, that type of thing. We have some as well. They're out there. You can get them. There's also online apps that you can get, and there are several that are quite good actually. Mint puts one out. They're, I think, creator of the QuickBooks, I think, is the same individuals who created that one. Digit Leaf and Wave are two other ones, and of course, the backbone of these gives you the opportunity to record instantly. If we have our phone with us, there it is. Put it in your phone. It's tracked for us, and there is, in fact, there is your truth. Okay, how is that? How are we doing? Now, as a subnote to this, everybody, that tracking can seem overwhelming. Don't let it be. If the entire budgeting process, if you're trying to encompass too much and it breaks you down, don't let it. Take it to a place where it works for you. Maybe you just want to use it on a certain time of the week, a certain day. Maybe, like I said, 2 weeks is too much. Just do it for a couple days and regroup and go from there. Maybe you do 3 different grocery stores. Take it to one grocery store, use it there and see how it works. Okay, break it down to where you need it to be, because it's not just talking about it. One of my again, I'll use the term battle cries again. One of my themes is that it's great to talk about it. Just make sure in the end, if you're not doing it, turn this into action. Actually do it. There's spoiler alert number 1. Okay, to make sure you make it happen. All right, everybody's good. Let me show you something here too that's kind of interesting. All right, here's a little table we put together. While you're tracking, let's look at somebody we put down here. What about just taking a convenience aspect of it? What does convenience mean to us in our budget? We always say that convenience costs us. Now, let's make sure that we understand what this means to us. We just grabbed some figures here. Actually, it was kind of a general number that we had the data from our own books, if you will, on clients what they would spend out, even when they cut down a little bit on themselves. And they were, look at, this is kind of the more conservative than our more liberal part, okay? Like week 1, you're looking at, they were spending $10, like 3 coffees for week 1, $10, $20 on lunch and $50 on dinner. It may or may not be overwhelming, but the point is that if you just take that amount, they break it down into a month, it gives us an idea of our weekly contributions to convenience. So you're looking at, they put out, what is that, $80 per week, which goes out into $320 per month, which works out to be over $4,100 a year. Now, when you look at this, what you have to ask yourself, and this is not for anybody else to judge but you, okay, is that reasonable? Is it something that I am okay with? Or is there room for me to be able to ebb that back a little bit? Right now, because when I'm speaking to you, I'm not ever inferring that you shouldn't be spending money yourself. If you earn it and you spend it, that is your right to do it. Absolutely. If you're honoring of course, all of us are honoring our bills. We're making sure we feed our families or our partners or our household. That's what we do, right? Of course we do. Now, if you've earned something, you've already got this earmarked as something that you do for yourself, that's fine. If you can and you want to, that's up to you. If you are in the middle of an internal debate, if you're wondering, well, put it into a light where asking yourself, even if I cut back, what if I was able to just take 20, 25% off that? What could I do with that money? Where would it go? Where would it make more sense for me, or the most sense for me? And that can be anything, right? It can be from paying down a debt that you've got that you want to get rid of, contributing to an education fund. Heck, I'll tell you, how about just plain and simply contributing to a vacation when you can get away? That would be nice too, wouldn't it? Absolutely. But it's there. So when you have this kind of the thought and you provoke your own thought, it brings back to the reality of, am I spending properly here? Can I make adjustments? Am I okay? Now, I will throw this fact in for you as well. While you're doing this, and budgets in general, they can be a lot of work, and we know that. So when you do a budget, you do it successfully and it's working for you, just make sure that once in a while you just do something for yourself. And I'll use Chris for an example, right? Chris is working in the library and she's working her tail off, and at the end of the week she says, you know what, this is my right. I don't know what you like, Chris. We're just making the story up here, okay? And she may like just enjoy a good vanilla latte, right? And that's her treat for herself after work. Well, you know what? If she does that and she's been doing her thing all week long, heck, all month long, and quite frankly, giving yourself a pat in the back once in a while actually increases the success rate of your budget. Okay, it does, and it can be exponential. So once in a while, it's not a bad thing. Anyways, point made. We're good. Okay. Now, again, tracking is fantastic. Looking at, where's the convenience costs, what's the next aspect of myself in terms of my finance and food here. Well, so if I've tracked my expenses and I've got in my mind around, yeah, convenience does cost, let me just keep an eye to that anyways. If I've convinced you of that, the next thing is, would a meal plan not make sense right now, right? What is it? What is a meal plan, right? Now, in the end, of course, we're talking about a strategy here, right? And quite frankly, if a meal plan well, we have different definitions of it. I'd love to be able to stand in front of you right now and ask you to give me what your definition of what meal planning really truly is, right? Um, in a way, like, a meal planning is essentially the menu that you create for the next few days, weeks, or even the next month. You pick the chunk that works for you. You may say, I've never done it, so pick a week, do it for a couple days. Maybe you're doing it. You're comfortable a full week, or maybe even 2-3 weeks out. Good. But it's a start. Even if you're not doing it, make it a starting place somewhere. Just do it for a couple days, okay? Now, I will tell you that when you take a minute to do some planning, as it says, what it will do, the future you will thank yourself for this, okay? Because it does indeed reduce some headaches. It gives you a direction with your meals and your planning. And believe me, when you are focused and you know where you want to go with your meals, it helps your shopping tremendously, of course. And what falls to that is your budgeting, because now you can start working in, I know I'm going to have, and we'll touch on this again, is things like, I know I'm going to have a pasta Tuesday. All right, well, that's kind of cool. So you'll do that. And next thing you know is the pasta Tuesday. Oh, I see that they got some Bravo sauce on and it's on sale. Terrific. And in that particular case, it works for you, doesn't it? It does. So having a plan when you go to walk in the store can make a huge difference, right? And while you're doing this, what you're doing is you're planning your menu, right? And as the menus get planned, you convey that into your shopping list, and which we're going to talk about in a second too. And as you do your shopping list, then you're going to save yourself from just meandering through the store, just willy-nilly, if you will, looking for a deal here, a deal there, as opposed to having the plan and you can know where you got to go and get it done. I don't know about anybody out there, but where I run into trouble is, the plan is great. Like I said, my girl does that. And I looked at her and I said, you know what? If you could parlay this into how we walk through the aisles, I would love that, because I still feel like I'm wandering, because I make a list. I'm from one out, oh, I got to get meat. And the next thing you know, I got to go pick up some cat litter. Goodness gracious, Phil, come on, get your head right. So we actually get to a point now, and especially her, where it may not be perfect, but we kind of know where we're going. And I always thought that sounded sad, but there's nothing more liberating than knowing, okay, you know what? This list actually almost makes aisle sense now, because I kind of know where I'm going and it all flows. I'm not looking for, if I may, the garbage that we get with just me and my son's doing this. So anyways, that's terrific. And for me, impulse buys almost become a thing of the past, because I'm shopping for something specific. It helps me stay focused. So far, so good, everybody? Hanging in there? Okay, everybody, short break, take a sip. And we move on. So create the meal plan. How do we do this? Well, the more people you get involved, the better. I mean, you're talking about your unit. It could be just you, absolutely, which makes it a little simpler. But if you're trying to please number of people, then we have to commit to, first of all, we're committing to do it. Get them to commit to help. Yeah, just get them to start talking to you. What do they like? What do they not like? I don't know how you were brought up. I mean, sometimes, and you can probably tell this is my first barbecue. I'm a little bit, into my life now. I was told when I was younger just to eat some stuff because it's good for me. Sometimes I could hardly swallow it. I mean, I was a struggle. And then, like, God bless my mom, she certainly tried to make things easier for me to eat. My palate changed as I got older, and we may be dealing with younger people or people that don't have the same palate as us. So by getting them to talk about this, even a little bit, even if you got the teenager that's really hard to talk to, get them and say, "What do you like?" Yeah, I'm not just going to buy you, sugar crisp and that type of thing. But if they verbalize it, if they say it, they're more likely to actually stick to it. That's just a commitment you make to yourself, even subconsciously. So by including them, we get the opportunity for them to give us inputs, right? More buy-in. Absolutely. Excuse me. Sorry about that. Next thing you do is we start the calendar. Say, all right, we're talking about the foods we like. We're going to put our menu together. I'm going to say I've got pasta Tuesday. I've got, I don't know what I meatloaf Thursday. We can work with this. So we're preparing it. Our calendar may be just for the week, for example, but at least we know we're going to pick what we're going to plan to. So we got the likes. We're going to do it for a week. Terrific. We got our meals categorized. Absolutely. We got, it's a free for all Monday because it's leftover from the barbecues on Sunday. You know what I'm saying. This is the way it goes. Pasta Tuesday and meatloaf Thursdays we're in, and maybe we'll have pizza Fridays just to make it easy. Okay. Now we get to look at what is that particular meal going to look like? Well, much easier, isn't it? It could be just a straightly a vegetable pasta and then what do you call it? A sauce, vegetable sauce. All right, we know what we need. My pizza Friday. Yeah, again, we're going to stick with the vegetable idea. Okay, so no meat on it. You get where I'm going with this, right? It means that now we can start scaling it down. We're more specific. We know what we're going to do, how we're going to do this. All right. Next thing is you've got to look at where you're going to be buying. Where can I get my food? Please take the time, browse the flyers. Again, I'm leaning back on my girl. She is so good at this that I know, and then I'll share it with you. And I'm sure you've all got your bit. We got our giant tiger here to go get what we need to get in terms of those items that are, I would say, less risky. Although I got to tell you, even where we shop, the produce isn't that bad. We get it there, and it's not bad at all. So it helps a lot with the cost. And then we have to go to one of the bigger stores because it has other items that we can't get at Giant Tiger. Okay, but we know where, and so our list goes from the big list in terms of what we need generally for the week down to what we're going to get at each location. Huge. Then from there, we put that down onto a shopping list, right? It's broken out. As I said, she even gets it down to her almost aisle by aisle. So for a guy like me, terrific. I'm so happy with that. All right. No questions right now, Chris. I'll just keep moving on. We're doing great for time, everybody, by the way. All right. The next thing is, let's put this plan together. All right. What's the next thing that we need to do? Well, after we bring our product home, let's start prepping our food. And there's some things you can do right away. You know that something you just got to put it away, but some things we can do. If we have a meal coming up, we could chop, wash, maybe even pre-cook some items that we're going to be using throughout the week. One thing, like I just said, for example, if we know we've got maybe the pasta sauce we're going to use on Tuesday is also can kind of double for us. And I'm not suggesting do this, okay, but it may have some use for pizza Friday. Then all right, we can prep some, and we know that we've got Tuesdays and Fridays a portion of it covered. Yes, we can put it away. We don't want to inundate our fridge, but that's a good way to get yourself ahead of time, right? Strategic about the freezing piece. Absolutely, everybody. You know what that means is that freeze what you can. Make sure you know what's there. Don't overstuff your freezer. Nothing. I mean, you look at if you overstuff your fridge and you lose track of stuff in the freezer, you lose it. I talk to my sons and I tell them I'm going to go, like the one fellow I told you about, I'll go grab some McDonald's. Why? In the back of the fridge, you've got that little piece, and I don't eat a lot of beef, but you guys have got your roast back, whatever it is, eat it, please. Don't let it go to waste. When you've got something done that's good food, it's still relatively fresh food, it needs to be eaten up, right? Nothing worse. Doesn't it kind of irritate when you have a good meal like that, a little bit left over, and it just sits there. Yeah, I do it myself sometimes, and I get really upset with myself when I do that. And so, I mean, don't stuff stuff so back far in the fridge I can't see it again. Let's get it out. Let's get eating it, okay? And besides that, if you overstuff it, the opportunity for things to actually rot or go bad increases actually substantially. And there is a cost to this too. Right now, if I put it out to you, did you know that their cost of food by just tossing it out, you can save about 20 or 30% of your food budget, if you will, by just not tossing stuff out. Because tossing stuff out puts a need for more cooking, right? When you maybe didn't have to. Okay, enough on that one. Last thing is a well-stocked pantry. Is it not the worst thing in the world to go? I mean, things can go on sale. This is where you can take advantage, right? If you have some spices that you like, you have cooking oils, things that come in cans and boxes, like stuffing, and you planned your meal out. And if you've forgotten to keep your pantry stuffed, and especially when it's on sale, and you go and say, "Okay, I'm good to go. I just need a little bit of, olive oil." And, oh goodness, I'm out. Yeah, that kind of stinks, doesn't it? It hurts when you don't have that stuff available. So keep your pantry stocked the best that you can and make it, of course, suitable to what works for you, right? Most of those items have a long life on them, so they'll be around there for a little while. And it's fairly safe to pack them and keep them here for a little bit. I'm sure that my son's like that Frank's hot sauce, and I'm sure it's got a half-life of about 30 years. Honest to goodness, it just never seems to go away in my place. Now, where we go with this next is we parlay all this into smart shopping. Let's chat to this piece right now. We've talked about planning the meals. We want to get involved in a good shopping process, right? I mean, look, the meal planning, is great. Reduce your convenience costs is fantastic. We're going to bring this back home now because, and as you're cooking strategically, meal planning, and you're very aware of what's in your freezer and your fridge, it will come back in this. It loops back to getting prepared for the next session. So now we're getting prepared to go back out and shop again. So what does it mean? Let's get organized. Let's look. First of all, number one, take a good inventory of what we have at home. Again, you look at the flyers, right? Maybe you are down in some of those spices that you need and they happen to come up on sale. I know that once in a while, for example, I'm not plugging this for any reason. I just go there. Giant Tiger will throw sales on some of their spices. Now, I'm not going to tell you their selection is as terrific as other bigger, shopping institutions, but it's not bad. But if it's what you need, why not, right? Let's make sure that we know what we need and we'll get it, okay? From there, again, make sure you're creating your shopping list. Plan ahead for your leftovers. If you know that you're going to make a meal that's going to parlay into a series of leftover items, terrific. You can use that maybe next time. I don't know when you like to have leftovers. I like to have them really the next day. I'm okay with it. It doesn't bore me. My palate isn't that deep and it doesn't matter to me. I don't know what yours is like. Care to yourself, to your household, cater to that. If they're okay with that as well, fantastic. An example, if you have a nice Saturday evening meal, and you have some leftovers, again, whatever you have is fine. But if, for example, you like potatoes, maybe the next day you have some leftover, there you go, home fries, right, for the next day with your bacon and eggs, if that's what you have. That's my point, okay? So, and something else is while you're getting organized is while you're preparing to go for shopping and you're organized with your list and such, you've done your inventory, please do make sure, and I'm sure you've heard this before, don't go shopping when you're hungry. And I mean, isn't it incredible? Have you walked into Zares and they got that wonderful chicken cooking right there, especially on a cool day? It just smells so good. If you like chicken, they just do such a great job with it. No, if you eat, it smells good, but you're not so interested. I've been victim to this. And of course, they do get you. When you shop on a full stomach, it's known that we will make about twice as many impulse buys as going when we're not hungry, right? So let that help guide us, all right? Have you ever had that happen before, anybody? I'm sure you have. Maybe share a story sometime. If you've gone in there, and I want to kick myself in the behind sometimes when I did that. Now, another habit that we have adopted and we try to promote is shopping with cash. Okay, part of our smart shopping policy. Okay, it's it forces us to stay within the budget and if nothing else, extra mindful of what I'm putting in my cart. Okay, Now, if you're reluctant to carry cash with you, understood, we get it. You can use your debit card. Now, if you are okay with what you spend and you say, don't, Phil, it's no problem, okay, cool. But if there's any inclination, and this is one area that we see some of our clients, well, a lot of them, will tend to overspend if they have access to their cash. And we've been asked many times, how can I stop it? Well, let's do a couple things that make sense to us. And I call it, like, this is personal fiscal sense, okay? Number one is, like, we can do little things. Like, number one is, if you know what your budget is, stick to it. All right, that's just in my mind, I just know I got to do it, right? You've got your list, you know what's going. If you want to know where you're running at, smartphones all have calculators. You can have a running tab if you want to keep adding it where you're at. That works too. But with the cash thing is, if you've got a debit card, you think, and believe me, everybody, as a counselor, I've been told this many times, that, oh, Phil, if I got it though, I'll use it. Okay, then what about setting up an account that is, you just earmark, like, just groceries, or it's like, or just gas, right? And that's all it's for. So when you go in there, you know, like, I got $150 in that account for this week, and that's, I'm going to spend it. I can't spend any more. That's one way to help safeguard against that. Now, would it be embarrassing running it over the top? Sure. But when you're shopping with that knowledge, it helps a lot too. Okay, you know, I can't run over. Now, price match, using coupons, absolutely, please. We endorse that 110%. If you have the opportunity, get involved. Rebate programs, do it. It's just to your advantage to save money. Oh yeah, and let me go back. When we're talking about the shopping with cash and debit, we want you to stay away from a credit product, okay? We don't encourage overdraft on that account. If you know what overdraft is, right? It's the ability to overdraw your account temporarily until your money goes back in. Like, don't give yourself any credit access. That's the key piece, okay? It really helps you stick to what your budget truly is. And it's 150, no give or take. That's it. No, 150, done. Matter of fact, if I could, anybody who shops for their groceries and they say, okay, I'm going to put on my credit card, but I can also pay it off again, still be mindful of the budget. You've got a credit card that's got points on it. Okay, that's great. Yes, you can put your money on there, but just remember, if you spend $500 on your credit card for groceries, make sure you go back and pay $501 back on your credit card as soon as you can. Make sure you eliminate that debt as quickly as possible, if not immediately, okay? Because that's, you don't want life to happen, and then you accidentally have to take the money that was supposed to be for grocery shopping and use it for something else, and then you say, oh yeah, you know what, I'll take care of that next month. That's when the problems can start, okay? I hope that piece was clear. If any questions to that, Chris, let me know, okay? And as in terms of numbers, if you're in the smart shopping, let me throw a figure on the table for you. It's noted that people who shop with credit cards, you ready for this, tend to spend up to 25% more, just because you can, right? And literally, if you can stick to your list, you actually save about 23%. So there you go. If you can not go credit, stick to your list, we're saving ourselves almost 50%, if you do the math. Now, we also want to make sure that this, with the smart shopping, is think about where you shop. Okay, remember, we talked about that. One of the things that happens is you can save up to 25% on generic brands. Did you know that? You can. You can request manufacturers rebates and coupons right directly from them. Okay, where you're shopping, will they price match? Most places do. And you know what they need for that, and we'll chat about that. You probably know more than anybody else. They need what? Proof of what the competition is selling the same thing for, right? We saw dollar stores. They can have great prices. Of course they can. We always say, make sure you get there what's appropriate. And when I say that, just as a little sub note, okay, a little avenue here, is if you're shopping for certain things there, they have multitude of products, of course. We talked about the things that are, I would say, safer. I don't know if that's 100% where I want to say it, but it's things like the canned goods, the box goods. As I said, even some of the produce is fine. But those are the things that are easier to pick up and a little more trustworthy under that environment. It's like pet toys. The things for children toys and that, they may not be quite at that, that I guess you call it the quality that we want. So I don't recommend doing that, but again, it's up to yourself, okay? Take advantage of customer appreciation days. Absolutely, please. When you see that, the sales are marked for us. So if you get the opportunity to walk in on one of those particular days, do so. It will just save you money in the end, right? Now, another thing to remember is when you're looking, you're shopping, do you actually price units? You know, when they give you that bulk, I use the cucumber as one. They give you a bulk purchase and they say, you know what, if you buy this in bulk, we're going to take it, you're going to give you a better price. Really? Compare it. Like I said, if they're offering 3 cucumbers for $3 and you see it in the bin, it's $1 per cucumber, there's no price advantage to you, right? There's none. It really comes down to how many do you need. Can you eat 3 of them? Then okay. But if you can only eat 1 or 2, then the third one will be a waste. You actually just threw $1 at the door, right? So anyways, that's what we're inferring here right now, okay? One thing that I do like to do, or one of the things is when I can, if there's I can stock up on some sale items if possible. That's not a bad idea. Again, remember your budget and remember that, yeah, okay, if the spices go on sale, something like that, or I got some cereal on sale right now, okay, you can tuck a few away. It does save you money in the end, right? But again, don't overburden your budget just for that either, though, okay? It can work. So if you come back and kind of regroup on the smart shopping, do some things that help yourself out, right? Remember, 25% savings on generic brands is normal. Request manufacturer coupons, another big game saver. Stock up on sales when you can. Shop with cash as long as you're comfortable. Like once the cash is gone, you're done. And another little tidbit we've got is, if you can, places like YouTube have some great recipes. They got savings ideas. They'll even have up with some coupon ideas. They'll bring you with some up to date. So-and-so, this place is offering you this coupon for the next 4 or 5 days. Please do take advantage of that. Some great tips in there for all of us. Believe me. Excuse me. Within that, the smart shopping, of course, is the price matching piece we're talking about. Many stores will match or beat the competitor's advertised price. Did you know that? But know some things about it as well. I mean, not every item can be price matched. There are some things that they will do and they will not do. So if you know what it is and you know it's on the price match list, make sure they know that yes, I want to price match that. The items need to be the same. And further, your competitor might need to be a local place too. They may not honor a price matching for some place that's GTA versus Hamilton, versus Calgary type thing. Okay, that may be the issue. Just know their policy. Ask them what their policy is on that particular matter. Okay. Now, to make things a little easier, you can group things together that you know that you're going to be price matching on. You may have 5 or 6 items in your cart. You say, yeah, every one of these need to be checked. Let the cashier know up front. So either she can take care of that at the beginning of the process with you, or maybe at the end. It'll help make her job a little bit easier, his or her job a little bit easier. And they'll appreciate that for sure. And my experience is that also saves a lot of time too when you're there. All right. If you've got the flyer, show it to them, or if the app's on your phone, show them the app. They'll see it, okay? And whatever you do, we always say, enjoy your savings, and have some fun with it, and enjoy it. No, you're not the only person doing it, but it needs to be done, right? There's some other places we have some support for you. See, here's some price matching websites where you can check out their policies. Again, if you don't get these down, Chris, I will, especially if you ask me to, I will provide you with the PDF, so these will be recorded and you can share them with everybody, okay? But you see, here they are. There's No Frills, Fresh Go, London Drugs. We just grabbed a few. The Canadian Superstore. There are places where you can go and have a look at what their policies are. Quick, easy, a click of the mouse, right? And you're there. Again, we'll have these to share with you. Now, as a side note, again, you may know this, there are some places that don't price share or price match. Sobeys, Costco, Safeway, Thrifties, Shoppers Drug Mart, they're there. I don't have to read them all, but if you're shopping there, don't be surprised. They just don't do it. Okay, and again, this list will be provided for you, okay? I didn't want to go too fast through that, but I didn't want to also spend a lot of time on that. We can look at that later. Smartphone apps. We alluded to some smartphone apps earlier in terms of budgeting, the actual expense tracking. We have also got a few more here for you that we found to be very strong, and we seek the inputs from our clients and our participants in our webinars, and we keep getting some wonderful things said about these particular apps. They like using them. Flip, you see Reebie, Save, Flash Flood, etc. All great flyer coupon applications, and the key thing is instant savings, right? Instant savings. Well, anything from Checkout 51 to Rakuten, of course, is the money back applications that you're looking for. And remember, it's not necessarily one or the other. Combine the savings. I mean, it just works for you. I'll show you right there at the end. I'll go back to the other screen, because when you're looking at your tape at the end of the shopping experience, having some change back, that's in your pocket. That's what we're trying to emphasize. And it will give you a total savings. Like 33% is the one that shows on this particular screen. By combining your initiatives, it can make a big difference to you. Sorry. Now, rewards programs, a short note on these. They can be very helpful, right? And remember, they can intertwine these programs between restaurants and grocery stores, etc. So they can be quite strong. Now, if you're in the middle of these programs, just make sure again that they should have no expiry dates on them. They're not supposed to anymore. And if there's any questions as to how to handle them or about them, remember they all have their websites listed on there, of which you can also go and visit, all right? And make sure that you understand what their policies are. There we are. How are we doing, Chris? Okay?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay. How's our time doing? All right?
Yeah.
Good. All right. Now, we just talked about that one. There is a little initiative in the background. It's called the Scanner Price Accuracy Code. I don't know if you've heard of it. And I have to admit to you, to everybody right now, that I'm in the business, I know, but it's something that I was only just vaguely aware of. And I ran into it myself. And I say vaguely, it's not something that I was practicing about, I don't know, 4 weeks ago, maybe or so. And when we were scanning actually some produce, I think it was produce, an error came up, and I didn't expect anything. I thought, okay, this, price check on aisle 4 coming up, right? That's what we need. But it was a discrepancy between what we were supposed to pay and what was advertised or was on it. And I think for me, it came to like $9.95 or something like that. And they dropped it, right? Totally gone. And this was actually in Zares that this happened. And they talked about this to me. They say, yeah, well, we made an error mistake on this, so it's under $10. So we're just going to eliminate that. It's our mistake. You get to keep that for free, because I didn't know why it wasn't on my bill. I said, wow, are you kidding me? They said, no. Here's a couple tidbits on this, which I thought was we just kind of looked this up. I'm going to read this to you. I'm not going to read it all, but just, kind of get a hold of this. It's called the item-free scanner policy. And it says the retailers will implement an item-free scanner policy as follows. Okay, on a claim being presented by the customer, where the scan price of a product at checkout is higher than the price displayed in the store or than advertised by the store, the lower price will be honored. Okay. So, terrific. And it goes on, it says if the correct product price is $10 or less, the retailer often just give you the product free of charge. If it's over $10, they'll give you the $10 discount. Now, if you're buying multiple items, let's say you're buying, I don't know, 100 bananas, and each banana head was scanned, and they'll only give you the rebate or that policy on one banana, not the 100 of them. All right, so just one of the items. It's kind of interesting that exists. So when you're in line, kind of pay attention. Okay, again, it's called the Scanner Price Accuracy Code. They call it the item-free scanner policy. Okay, the item-free scanner policy. Kind of cool, actually, when you think about it. So has anybody else run into that issue there? I'm just going to pause for a second and give everybody who's listening, hopefully you got a chance to stretch their toes now. Has anybody run into this issue? Just see if they got it in the
Yes,
chat.
I've had that experience.
Yeah. How did it go for you, Chris? Tell us.
I got the item free, so that was great.
Wonderful. You want to tell us who was at, or do you want to just keep that to yourself?
Food Basics.
Ah, good one. Anybody else has got that happened to them? Good for you. It's offered. So now, one of our pet peeves too is we make sure as you're shopping, the price per unit is something that we want to make sure that we all pay attention to. I'm sure that you do. But as you know, package sizes can differ. And the bottom line is you need to know, even if they're offering these bulk purchases, they've got to tell you what each unit costs individually. Our little note here is that Costco seems to be very good at making sure that you see that. Well, I don't have kids in diapers anymore, but the diapers at Walmart, usually has a different count than at the superstore. So make sure you know what's in each box. Does it compare, right? Making sure that again, that does it make sense to buy the package or the individual? And that's where I was looking at. The packages can differ, and your smartphone does have the calculator, so you can figure it out. Case in point right there. If you wonder why I use the cucumbers, there you go. I'm not making this stuff up. It does make a ton of sense that, do I buy the big package or do I not? Because and something that expires like a cucumber. I mean, we're all mindful of this, right? I don't know what your household is like, but I know in mine, if we get through one cucumber a week, that's good. So for me buying 3, by the time we got to the second one, they'd be rotten. It'd be a total waste of time. So it comes down to, yeah, it may be a great deal, but is my house going to eat it? Now, does it make sense? Or am I just going to waste it? Now, conversely, let's also look at this prepackaged goods along the same lines. Does it make sense to do the prepackaged, or I call them the one-offs? The Minute Maid, we just put it there for you. Number one, you can get the great big 1.89. It's almost 2 liters, right, of juice for about $3.57 or so. But if you go get the same stuff that will make roughly, you're close to the same, the frozen, it's only $1.57. So you're saving 40% plus just by getting the frozen stuff. Now, of course, when we talk pre-packaged, pre-cut, pre-processed, of course, means somebody's handled it, they've done something with it, they packaged it for you. Hence, you're paying for the labor. Really, and it's okay to understand that we don't always have to have that. If it's a night of convenience and you need it done quickly, yeah, we get it. We're going to pay a little bit more for it. Okay, so be it. But if it's consistent, if we can always remember, if we just get, like I said, the pre-prepared salads and lettuce and such, they had to remain lettuce. It's just $1 cheaper. You get the idea here, right? I don't think you have to do the whole chart for you, but that's the idea. Make sure that if you're going to buy something pre-packaged, pre-done for you, you're paying the premium for it. If you can, stay away from it. I like the broccoli one. It kind of cracked me up. The 70% savings. That's my family just loves broccoli. We can't keep it in the house, but I will not buy it in bulk. I'll get it. The crowns will buy it ourselves, and or pre-packaged. We'll wash it ourselves. Now, speaking of bulk, when you're walking down that path, before you do make those purchases, stop and ask yourself some questions, okay? Which is, now that we've seen that there's different things to pay attention to. Number one, if I buy that product in bulk, can I use it all before it expires? Number two, and we've done this before, standing there staring at that particular price initiative, if you will, can I find it better someplace else? Just because it's packaged nicely in this particular store doesn't mean I can't find it someplace else. This is where maybe your flyers will have helped you, right? Just do a little bit of research on it. Maybe you've walked through the store, it's cheaper someplace else, but please be mindful of that, all right? And do I have somewhere to put it? Isn't that the big one? Again, if the pantry's already full, you may already have enough, right? That type of thing. The fridge. I mean, come on. You've got those little vegetable crispers, and you can say, I got great. I got 3 heads of lettuce on there on sale, at 50 cents a piece. Okay, good. But you better be feeding a couple families of rabbits because you better get it eat it up fast. It won't last long enough probably. But there you go. To each their own. If you know your household has got no place you won't eat it, or you're going to overbuy, got no place to put it, don't do it. I got to tell you this. Quick side note: as a counselor, doing a project for a family, lovely group of people, ran into all kinds of issues. Their freezer went on the fritz and they couldn't keep anything cold to start with, looking at major costs for replacing. And I did some probing just to ask, and they were very good shoppers, but they're notorious for getting things in bulk. And that included getting frozen items. Now, we may, you and I may not be big meat eaters. They were maybe more so than the average person. I don't know, but they had about a medium-sized freezer and they had enough product in there for one of those things that you see right in the aisles of Zehrs or Price Chopper, wherever. And they just couldn't keep things cold. The lid was always open on over stuff. They couldn't even close the lid. Well, that was kind of, in my humble opinion, a bit silly, but they did learn a lesson about that particular storage issue, that if I don't have someplace to put it, it really isn't a bargain, and that I don't really need it. So be very mindful of that too, please, okay? And it comes down to making a sensible choice and making sure we're watching our budget, because in the end, waste is waste, and it does cost us in a big way. Okay. Now, when storing stuff, make sure, of course, we suggest a couple things, and maybe you could give us lessons on this, but if you aren't going to use something right away, freeze it, okay? Store it properly, seal it properly, take the air out of it, right? If it doesn't need liquid, don't store it with liquid. And if you can, on the freezer bag, mark when you put it in there. I know they got these nice little white patches on the now you can write down, even just on a clear bag, you can write down what it is or when you put it in there. And if you can, if you have things in a freezer, go through it once in a while. And we say once a week if you can. Make sure the stuff that's been around a little longer gets shuffled to the top, right? Those of you with kids, you don't do that with their clothes. They got stuff, same thing over and over and over and over, right? What are we going to do? Shuffle their drawers, get the clothes from the bottom to the top. Stop wearing, start wearing the stuff that you haven't worn in a while. Anyways, be mindful of that, okay? Some produce is sensitive to the gases put off by others. Yes, there's that odor sharing thing too, right? You've got to be careful. You can pick the most obvious one. If you've got onions and they're not stored carefully, you can have quite the interesting flavor to various things in your fridge, right? So again, be mindful of that when you're putting things away. Make sure they're stored properly. Some people prefer to take stuff with a stronger odor and put it in the outside freezer as opposed to the one in the house. Whatever works for you. That's just what I'm suggesting. All right. Now, do you want a number to that, by the way? Do you know what here? And just before I go, I'm going to tell you that the food waste, the estimate in the Canadian economy, ready for this? $49 billion each year. That's right. I say with the B. Wasteful food, $49 billion each year. Can you imagine? So I say, let's do a little bit to stop that. That's what I say. All right, everybody, take a breath, take a sip. We just talked about a lot of information in a very short period of time with this little cutie pie eating her. She's not related to me. Her wonderful watermelon there. So if you're doing this, what we've come back and circled around is, number one is, if planning your meals to save money, number one, you're doing it, or you should be able to do it, right? From that, you're able to implement smart shopping tips. We've talked a lot about various things to do to help save you money, save you time, save you a lot of energy. And in the end, but little things like just going through your inventory, for example, will help make you a better shopper, save you a lot of money. And those trips to the stores can be a lot more pointed, and I call it a lot more accurate. And you're going to save money just because you're not going to be wandering around, which is what they want you to do, right? Remember that too. The stores, the way they're designed, you've probably heard this, but the outside aisles, as we said, is for all the stuff that we need. The smaller ones in the middle are the stuff, well, we probably need a little bit less. They cost more and they're smaller. They want us to go through more slowly so that we do actually stop and get them. And if nothing else, to everybody, you probably noted, they've been doing this for a long time. Grocery stores are also very good at those impulse buys right at the cashier. That's where you have your various, readers items to pick up, the chocolate bars, etc. So if you're not hungry, you're better prepared to stand that line. Now, my summary for you is don't let convenience costs break your budget. Create your list that's in line with your meal planning. Don't go hungry when you shop, or don't go shopping when you're hungry, please. Okay. And you want more tools? We have mymoneycoach.ca to help out as well. Okay. This is one piece that we put into our counseling pieces with our people, because it does help a lot. It's not just to get a household budget in order, but when you get actually breaking down one component, just the meals themselves, your grocery, your food, it is not just saving you lots. It can save lots of money actually. You feel a lot more directed. You waste a lot less time, and quite frankly, the liberation on that is tremendous. This is when you feel like there's a little bit of control. You go, wow, you know what? That helps. It really does. So we have for you, of course, additional resources that, of course, Chris and her staff always know is available to them. We have, again, a host of Facebook, Twitter, Instagram that you can certainly participate with, and we always love for you to come on, use our tools, have chats, say something positive. We love it, and we also have a little, I guess you call it a little promotion going on. We do the best we can. We've given you a little presentation, and when you go on the media and you say something positive, we make a note of that. Okay, we love it. We're not forcing you to, but if you do, we love it. It helps us, of course, gain the funding that we need to move forward. And at this point in time, we like to give a little bit back again too. Okay, so we put your name in a draw, and there's a possibility that you could win a $50 Sobeys gift certificate, which of course is kind of neat when it comes down to what we're talking about today, which is food. We also want to know your opinion. It is important. We have lots of information. We want to make sure that you've gotten something out of it. And if not, even reiterated something, would be fantastic. There's the QR code if you could make some comments, or there's the Survey Monkey link for us. Again, Chris will be provided with this on the PDF if you can't get this taken care of today. All right. Well, Chris, that brings us to the end of the discussion. And I think I'd just like to pause right now and just ask if there's any questions from the group that have come up over the course of the last, 45 minutes?
Yeah, that's great. Thank you so much, Phil. That was a very good presentation with a lot of useful information.
Oh.
If anyone has any questions now, you can type it into the chat or the Q&A.
And here I am, everybody. I'm still here. I have to look over here. That's where I can see you guys. Of course, I know I have to look here. This is where I look at the camera. And again, remember, this is not a version of Hoarders back here. This is just my workstation. It has been an interesting year, though, we all must admit, right? It has been something that I hope that we never have to go through again.
Oh, yes, let's hope.
No, absolutely. And our hats go off to Chris and all her staff because of what you do. And we're happy and proud to be part of it, Chris.
Well, thank you for doing this.
Oh, well, you're welcome. You're welcome.
Been very informative.
Good. There, I got there's. You're welcome, Manny Brown. You're welcome for anything. And we will leave it as well that anybody has any conversations that need to ensue. Chris knows how to get in touch with us. If you need to pursue anything, please don't hesitate. We are available here to help you, and we're free. Okay.
Any questions? I guess you answered all their questions.
Good. Well, I'm happy that hopefully Amanda will be back with you. I love doing these sessions, but she should be back next session as well. She's doing very well, by the way. She's fine.
Okay, great. Well, if
All right.
there aren't any other questions, I guess we can finish off. Thank you so much, Phil, and thank you for everyone attending. And just keep an eye on our website, the home-based activities section, for more upcoming webinars and programs. And we'll see you soon.
Please do. Thanks, Chris. Nice seeing you, everybody. You take care, okay?
Thanks, Phil.
Okay. Bye for now.